Hi, this is 100 Scariest. This is Paul and this is Hamp. And today we are interviewing Spencer and Ben Allred, the creative team behind Pictures. Enjoy. I guess let's introduce. Hey, I'm Paul. Since Ben just came in, I'm Paul. I'm a professor at LSU. This is Hamp, professor at UNO, and we're doing this. I guess this YouTube series slash podcast. We're in the early stages of it, and the idea is to get a book off the ground where we're trying to dissect what makes a good horror film or short horror film in particular. And just like I was telling Spencer, your short films, Pictures is an amazing short film. It definitely deserves to be in the conversation of one of the 100 scariest, best shorts I've seen online. It's really an amazing short. So, for many other reasons than just that it's horror, and that's kind of the background of what we're doing. Um, we're hoping to learn more, and we really want to just get an idea of your process, what went into making this thing, and were you satisfied with the outcome of it, and stuff like that. Nothing. This is really about you two.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words and yeah, it's I think it's pretty crazy for both of us when Spencer kind of brought this up. We were just kind of like, oh, haven't thought about that in a while now, and so it's cool that it's still people are still watching it and still affecting people. And I think that's when you make something, that's all you can hope for is put it out in the world and hope people like it.
Yeah, it's 9 years
So
old.
yeah,
It's 9 years old,
yeah.
huh?
It's like it's a little over 10 years old actually now.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it was like summer 2015 that we posted it or something, I want to say. But yeah, so apologies if our memories aren't like super clear on like
It's our
what
fault.
happened.
We
No,
didn't
no,
start
you're
this
good.
10
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. What's going on?
Can,
Well,
can
But yeah,
you do you remember the roots of this story, how it came about, what inspired it?
I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but it had something to do with Drew, right? Like our friend Drew, who's not like a filmmaker, he would just like come and help us on film sometimes and we'd hang out with him. He had an idea for like a film where like a camera can like tell like the future. And I think that was kind of like his basic story premise that he just kind of like threw out there. I don't even know if he was like pitching it to us or just talking about an idea he had. Um, and so I don't think we can take credit for like the future camera idea, but then I think we took that and Ben, did I write it fully and then like get feedback from you, or did we write it together? I'm trying to remember exactly.
Uh, yeah, I mean, your memory's already starting out better than mine, but I think definitely we probably passed it back and forth, just as we usually do, a lot of talking about it. I do think like heading on to that, I think it was a combination of kind of like this initial idea, and then like, when you're trying to do something scrappy or on a budget, as most short films are, and we're just poor college kids at the time, it just becomes a question of like, okay, what can we do that's achievable as well? And so, when you don't have money for production design, then it became like, okay, we have this apartment. We shot in the apartment that we lived in. Um, and okay, so we've got a location there, but then like it's just boring apartment furniture is just standard, right? And like there's no money for production design, so then it becomes a question of like, okay, like, well, maybe it's interesting that she's painting, like our character is painting, and so everything's covered in plastic. Ooh, that's kind of creepy. Things are covered up. You don't know what's underneath. That kind of just adds another creepy element to it. So I think it was like a combination, like Spencer, like you're saying, where it's that initial idea, but then it becomes a question of like, how do we actually achieve this? And then that kind of starts informing kind of some of the story beats. If would you agree with that, Spence?
Yes, yes, I do remember looking for a location for a while. And then just being like, I guess we just have to use the place. I didn't live there at the time, but the place where you lived at the
Yeah.
time. Um, yeah, I do remember that. I
And then
remember. Oh, go ahead.
well, it just also worked really well because it was like the top story, and then that worked really well for our ending of her falling there, you know. So there's just like a couple reasons, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and we had to do some pretty ghetto. You can probably tell like green screen work to make it look like she's even farther from the ground when she like looks
You did
out the window.
you did some extension there, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I missed that. I'll be honest with you. I can't believe now that you say it. Yeah, I do see now. Now I'm recalling what you're saying. Yeah, I completely missed that. And usually I could spot that, but no, I missed the green screen right there. You got that one past me.
Oh, good. We should send you a screenshot of it undone because it's literally like two people holding a roll of green construction paper open, like covering like a car that she's overlapping, but like it didn't fully cover her hair. So like her hair is overlapped on top of like non-green screen and just like rotoing her out was just such a pain.
But it was worth it. Like, that's great. Like that's one of the first lessons I try to give students is just what you're saying. And I bet, Hamp, you probably can agree to this. It is so hard to get a student to write for what they have and write it well for what they have. And like, I mean, y'all nailed that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, how
That's
Yeah,
so
long
nice.
this was, how long had y'all been making films before this one came along?
I think this was
um,
like our second short film after Reed, right then?
I think so too.
Pretty
Yeah,
early.
I mean, obviously Spencer and I are brothers, so like we've grown up just making a bunch of dumb short
Sure.
films at home.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but like as far as like I think professional, whatever you want to call it, yeah, I think it was our second one after Reed. But the plan was that we were gonna just make a whole bunch, but you know your appetite's always bigger than what you can achieve. Um,
Yeah.
Right.
but yeah, it was meant to be like, oh, we're gonna make one like every month sort of thing. But yeah, I hope we're answering. I know this is kind of like scatterbrained a
No,
little
no,
bit.
that's fine.
I hope we're
It's
answering
great.
your questions.
No,
How
this is
about
great.
go ahead, Paul.
No,
Sorry.
I said no, it's great. I just wanted to say, like, no, this is everything we need.
Mm-hmm. When the thing that ties it at the end is that she's wearing the same outfit as the guy that gets hit by the car. Um, it how'd that come about? Is it, you're in the writing process and you're because obviously is planned ahead of time before that comes together. So I'm just kind of curious how the whole story kind of bubbled up and because so many little things get tied together and the hand to the end. And so it's very clever in how everything just kind of really meshes together. And so
Yeah, that's so funny you asked. I was worried you're going to ask that because I've been racking my brain trying to remember why did we decide to do that? How did we come to that conclusion? I don't remember if it was just like, hey, this is too straightforward. We need to throw in like a twist. What could be like
Mhm.
a twist? Oh, if it was like that route, or if like we had always kind of thought about it. Do you have any sort of sense of that, Ben?
um, I can probably talk about like not the exact through line, but I think a little bit of our process. I think I can say I kind of view it like horror is like I don't know, it's the opposite side of comedy, but it's like the same coin in a lot of ways. And so like I think a lot of the same rules can be kind of applied to horror that is the same as comedy. I think Jordan Peele was like I think said something about like horror and comedy are the same, there's just different music.
Mm.
Um
I can see that.
and and so like I think like a common rule with comedy is like the rule of threes, right? It was like when you're telling a joke and like the repetition, like
Sure.
you have like this callback joke the second time and it's funny, but if you do it a third time and it's exactly the same, like it's not going to be funny. So you kind of have to have like a twist on that third repetition, right? And so I think it's similar with horror where it's like we kind of set this repetition up of like leading you on this trail of like, okay, she sees this picture and then it comes true, right? So then you understand, okay, like these pictures are telling the future. And so as soon as like you get the hang of it and you know what's gonna happen, then like if we do what's expected, it's obviously going to be boring. So then I think it led us to the natural conclusion of like, okay, this time when we repeat the gag, like we've got to change it so that it's like gives you a satisfying and interesting ending. The same as a joke, right? Like, so you're laughing at the end, but this time you're actually like, oh shit, like what just happened, you know?
Mhm.
Does that make any sense?
No, perfect. And see, to me, that's one of the things about the movie that really stood out for me and Hamp is that it's a 9 minute short, but it reinvents itself two times. It feels like a three act structure because she sees the image and she's amused by it. Well, then the monster comes in and it becomes like, okay, she's being haunted. Well, no, it's not that she's being haunted. It's luring her to cause this person's demise. Like that's
Right.
in 9 minutes. That's very impressive to be able to go. That's a lot of plot points to follow through. Was that always the intent to be that complicated, or did it just kind of happen like you were saying, Spencer?
That's funny that you say it's like complex and stuff, because as I go back and view the movie, I'm a little bit like, man, she's kind of dumb. Like she like everyone is yelling like get get out. Stop just like flipping through your phone and just like go away. You know what I mean? Like type of thing. So it's funny that you say that. I want to say I don't think like that was like a specific thought that we had. There was actually originally like more of the gags that we shot of like there was like a can. I want to say like, do you remember how many takes we did of that can rolling into frame, Ben?
Oh
Like
yeah,
where she
like
sees
from
like a
down the hallway.
yeah, like just like
Yeah.
random crap like that where it was just like so repetitive. So it's interesting that you say that.
Well, Spencer, don't shit on your own project. No, I think we probably learned some things since then, but I think what I would say about Spencer and I is, and so I think it's true even back then, is that I think we're always trying to push to go like, okay, like this is interesting. How do we make it more interesting? Okay, that's interesting. How do we make it more interesting? And so I would imagine it's the same. It was the same with pictures of just like, okay, we've got this initial concept. That's interesting. How do we make it more interesting? And I think for Spencer and I, like, illusion has to do a lot with our imagination. And so, like, we will write something that, like, we find is interesting, but as soon as we find the location, we'll start manipulating the story to make sense to the location of how, and like how the camera will move, or like, oh, like this dark corner is actually pretty interesting about this location. Is there something that can happen here that makes sense to the story? And then in a weird way, that starts sparking um a lot of interesting ideas. I think a lot of people find inspiration through a lot of different things, and for us, like a lot comes from a location, which I think seems weird on this one because it's just a very boring blank apartment in a lot of ways. But even that, like, informs, like, I think, like Spencer's talking, like, I think we saw this long hallway, and then we were like, I don't even remember what happens with the can, Spencer, but at one point, yeah, this can kind of rolls down the hallway as kind of an instigator for her to go down the hallway. Ends up getting cut, but it's stuff like that that I think even after the script is written, we're always looking for a way of like, how can we keep pushing this? How can we make this more interesting? And yeah, like Spencer's saying, we look back at this film and we're like, okay, we've learned so much. We could do it better now. But I think at the time, we're just trying to find ways to make it more interesting. And yeah, we could have stopped at just she's swiping through pictures and those things come true. But that would get boring to us as an audience member. So how can we keep pushing it and layer in this complexity you're talking about.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like how you continually challenge yourself during the whole process. I imagine it even goes into editing where you're like, how can I make this more interesting? How can I make it more interesting? What
Yeah.
and I think you answered my question I'm about to ask here. Is it the reason you push yourself is because you find that you want it to be more interesting personally, and maybe you're getting, unsatisfied with what you have so far? And is that what your motivation is to? Because I mean, at some point you have so many hours in the day, and you have to stop making it more interesting and finish the shoot, right, and move on. Um,
Yeah.
so is it? It sounds again. It sounds like it's self-motivation. I'm just curious if there's any sort of base you can say, oh, we were inspired because we learned X, Y, and Z, or it's just inherent in your nature that you're kind of that way.
I don't
Yeah.
know you. I don't know about you, Ben, but go ahead.
Oh no, no, you're fine. You go for it. You got a thought.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I don't know about you, Ben, but mine's probably isn't like the most come from like the most healthy place in the sense of like I imagine what the YouTube comments will say about something, like if it like or like if
Yeah.
honest trailers were to make an honest trailer about this, what would they make fun of about this?
Right.
And like try and like address those types of things. I think in my mind, a lot of it comes from what would people like pick and pull from this that they have problems with, or like what missed opportunities would we get like a lot of like feedback about. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts, Ben?
Yeah, it's just kind of like you're trying to like the fear of like the critics sort of vibe.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
Yeah, but like you're doing what the job entails. You're being the first audience member, right? I mean, that's what the
yeah,
director essentially is. And the DP too. Y'all are the first audience member of this. You're trying to interpret what is the audience going to feel here. So if you're feeling, hey, this is boring, we need to push it, then you're anticipating the audience. So you're doing what you're supposed to do, you know?
I think
For sure.
I think a huge part for us and like what's nice and working like in this collaboration between Spencer and I is like for me a lot of the times like and I think it is for Spencer as well, but like I think like you're saying, Paul, like I am trying to like there is an element of like a huge element of wanting to impress ourselves of like and that just comes through the fact of like having watched so many things and then you create things, you're always just trying to do better, like because you want to prove it to yourself and like what's interesting to me. And I think that's definitely a question. I think a huge part when working in like a team like Spencer and I is like I'm oftentimes trying to impress Spencer. I'm trying to go like, okay, what's gonna make it interesting for him? And I think like it might sound pretentious, but I think in a lot of ways our bar can be set too high. Like we're very hard critics on ourselves. And so I know if I can try and impress Spencer, I'm getting over that bar. And correct me if I'm wrong, Spencer, but there's probably an element for that for you too with me of like, okay, if I can impress him, then I'm getting over that bar. And so I think in a whether you call it healthy or unhealthy, like I think we push and motivate each other subconsciously to like do better and keep it interesting because I think we're separate people, but in a lot of ways we're very very similar. And so if I can entertain Spencer with something, then I also know it's like a good place to entertain myself as well, if that
Gotcha.
makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
does.
It does.
I'd echo that. I think I don't I mean Ben owns a production company with several other guys and like their work is very like prestige, and like telling these like mood pieces and these narratives within like commercial work and stuff like that. And I definitely have that voice in my head too, Ben, of like, would Ben be interested by this, or would he find this quality, stuff like that. So for sure, I'd echo that, Ben.
So you sort of
Well,
motivate each other.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think working together on set, it's just like I think we have such a great shorthand and like an honesty with each other to be like, that's not good enough. Let's do better. And then like we can have trust in each other to be like, okay, you're not just being an asshole. Like it's like we can do better, you know?
Right, right.
Because
Yeah, I guess
I think film,
no, go ahead.
sorry, I'll just go on a little bit more of a tangent. I think filmmaking is a very collaborative process, but I think like a lot of artists, it can be very lonely when like you're trying to tackle like when you're trying to write it alone or you're trying to, it's just it can be a very lonely process. And so I think the ability that when Spencer and I are working on something, like to have that creative partner that you can bounce ideas off of and see what sticks, you know?
Right on. Well, I have to ask, like, has this short opened up doors for you guys? Like, has it, like, it's got like so many views. I mean, does did it change any trajectory in your career? Did it open a door, get you a job, anything like that?
It's funny. It wasn't viral at the very start. I think it was like a year or so before people actually started watching it. And we've tried to go in and look like, why did this all of a sudden like people start watching it to see if there was some sort of like list someone wrote on the internet of like
Right.
top 10 horror films you haven't
hmm
seen yet, type of thing. And we just like couldn't find anything of like where it had popped up. And so we have no idea why it wasn't that way from the start. Um, when it was like at its peak, shortly after it started going viral, we were reached out to by producer writer from LA with like a feature film script that he wanted us to read and present some like director's notes for. It was something that we ultimately passed on because it wasn't our type of story and it wasn't our type of like storytelling that we liked. Um, am I missing anything as far as like doors opening for us, Ben, or like anything that's like come from it?
No, I think you're right. That was like the big one. And you know, guys, I think we were young and a little bit dumb and didn't capitalize on it like we should have. So I think we just let it be and it just kind of happened for a moment. And I think life kind of happened for us for a moment. And yeah, didn't pursue the rewards of it as much as we should have.
What facets would you like change now, Ben, that you would like do differently? I'm trying to think of like how you would capitalize on it. Like writing a feature based on it. Is that what you're saying? Or
We're just like still trying to like I think capitalize off the success of that on YouTube and then creating more things on YouTube to keep that audience engaged and kind of build more of a name for yourself, probably is where my mind would go.
oh, like the Philippou brothers type of thing?
Yeah. But that's always kind of like a that's always kind of hard, you know, like I think we still watch pictures and like to be honest, guys, like I think for us, it's not our favorite piece. And so it's very interesting to see that one be the one that kind of blew up. Um, and you know, we're trying to wrap our heads around why, like Spencer is saying, and maybe the answer is just purely because we made something for the fun of making it, you know?
hmm
We
I
made
think a lot
something.
of artists ask that question. Why is this one successful and my other stuff not as successful?
Yeah.
You're right. It might be
Yeah,
timing. It might be the audience. It's very complicated. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
1,000%.
Can I go, if I can go back to the film just a little bit, we've noticed, or at least Paul and I have noticed from the films that we've been viewing, these popular films, a lot of them don't have a lot of dialogue, and yours also does not have a lot of dialogue in it. Can you elaborate on, was this a conscious choice, a conscious decision, or did it just happen that way, or what brought that about? Any idea?
Ben, you and I smiled, and I think it's probably because we have very similar answers. Uh, it's a multifaceted answer or like a multi-pronged answer, I feel like. Ben, you can stop me if you feel like I'm wrong, or you can agree with me if we were thinking the same thing. Clint Eastwood once said, "The less you say, the more convincing you are,"
Yeah.
to his actors. And that's something I believe to be true. So I think that like I love movies with like not a lot of dialogue, like No Country for Old Men.
Hmm.
Like it's just the creepiness and the tension is so much more palpable, like the less that is said and the less sound there is. So that when there is like a sound that is very jarring or that can be very unnerving. Um, I think too, the biggest one of the biggest sins you talked about earlier is like having like talent that isn't able to like
Yeah.
accurately convey like the emotions or that we like buy that they're feeling this way or that their motivation is that way. um I'd say those are probably like the two biggest reasons, and then maybe like a third small one is just like capturing dialogue and sound in short films and on low budget.
Challenging. Yeah.
it, yeah, it doesn't sound like you're used to these movies where like ADR is happening all the time. There's no like interference with other background noise or things like that, where it's just, I feel like sometimes when you watch a short film that's very low budget, sound is so important that like if it feels like you're just getting a bunch of background noise and room tones in there, it can be very uh it can take me out of the experience.
Hmm.
Were those the reasons you would have given then?
Yeah, totally. I think a little bit of a creative decision, like not needed for the story for sure. Um, but I think a huge logistical reason of like Spencer is saying of like in terms of like our talent at the time of like it's not even just on the actors, it's just like okay, that adds a whole nother level, right? At that time of like being able to direct good performances with dialogue felt like a huge challenge at the time. And like Spencer is saying, like getting good sound, good talent, all of it combined, it felt more achievable and more effective to definitely do it without dialogue. Yeah, so I think yeah, it just goes back to that achievability factor.
What was the casting process?
The casting process was I had seen this actress in another, it was a feature film about LARPers that was
Oh,
made here in Utah called Unicorn City. I had seen her in it, and she had played kind of this like nerdy goth kind of LARPer girl. And so I just reached out to her on Facebook and was like, "You want to do this?" And so that was the casting process. And then the guy, I actually he worked at the same like superfruit beverage company that I worked at the time, and he also did acting on the side. So that's how to yeah, I don't know why we thought like this is a he's Latino, she's white, like they're perfect to go in this photo together and look like the same person. So it was a weird casting process of just like here's like two people that we know, um and let's get them both to do it and not worry about anybody else auditioning or anything.
I
That's
swear.
the that's the scrappy filmmaker, you know. You're like you grab what's accessible.
Right.
Exactly. I'm looking at it now. I swear I've seen this. Unicorn City? I swear I've seen that.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to. They had like a name talent in it, like a kind of a B-lister talent that I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if it was like a Kevin Sorbo or a type of person or what was in it, but yeah,
He looks like it's John Grease, the guy who was
Uncle
from
Rico. Yeah,
yeah, that's who
yeah,
it looks like it was.
yeah.
There he is.
Nice.
Fright
But
Night,
yeah,
Fright Night 2. It's always gonna be Fright Night 2 for me. If y'all know what I'm talking about, you understand. He was the werewolf in Fright Night 2.
Uh,
oh, nice. I haven't seen it.
Well, just I know we don't want to keep you
Well, I
guys
want
all
to ask you
day.
guys.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I think you cut out for a second. What were you saying?
No, I said I don't want to keep you guys all day, but I really wanted to ask them like what are you guys into now and like what are your future projects? Are you guys going to do more horror films or you guys in a whole separate world now or because I know you said he's in a production company and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the long-term goal is always to be able to like make a feature. Uh, features are like a whole different ball game in the sense of making things feel like not just this is a scene and this is a scene and they happen to be next to each other and like making things feel and like flow throughout like an hour and a half or so is a is very hard, especially when very meticulous about like a short film and a short film takes so long in
Mhm.
our minds at least to like mull over, write, rewrite, figure out, cast, everything like that. I think the goal has always been to like do a feature. Um, I think we're both kind of like not laser focused on that right now. Would you say, Ben?
Yeah. I think with life happening and like trying to find some security within filmmaking, um, I think oftentimes a filmmaker will like and us as well started heading like more of a commercial route, because that's where a lot of money is. While you can still use cameras and direct actors and all that fun stuff. Um, and so I think we both kind of got sucked into the commercial world to like support families and kind of support our lives. Um, but I think both of us have really been really getting that itch again to move back into like the narrative world and be able to actually tell a story and have it resonate and because that's the whole reason we got into filmmaking, and like horror has been such a huge part of that, and has always been a huge exciting element for us since we were kids and wanting to make a horror film. Um, but I think you're kind of catching us in a moment of weirdness for sure. But I think, and I'm not just saying this, but I think for myself, like just feeling the need and the passion to kind of move back into that world. And I think priority for me now is to kind of set my path back into um, making a feature, and if that means making shorts again first, then like where I want to be. So Spencer's done a much better job of actually keeping some shorts going. In the meantime, he's made some bangers, um, but I think we're both interested in kind of getting that feature going, so you can actually tell a story and you can actually have the funding to get good talent and make it in a good way. But I think especially with our upbringing and how we've made things scrappy, I think we're in a pretty good place to make something good on a lower budget that like not that we want to just do low budget things, but I think we're actually pretty smart in how we approach things and can make something really great for little. And um, I think that's a skill that a lot of filmmakers have a hard time and need a lot of money to achieve things that we know how to do, scrappy and just how multifaceted we are. And so it's a long way of showing. I think we're very passionate and hungry about the future, and so hopefully you guys see some new stuff coming from us soon.
Super.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I
With
will. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. If I could just piggyback off of what Ben said, I've always felt like big budget is the enemy of horror.
I agree.
Like you get like with like the Conjuring films as they go along, or like an It Chapter Two, where it's just like you have this money and it just is used to make things less scary.
I agree.
And yeah,
Or
yeah.
yeah,
So
you probably have less control also because now someone wants to
that's
see a
fair.
profit from all that money. What
Yeah.
about horror? What's the genre? Why are y'all attracted to horror? I know you've made other films, but this particular genre, what about it appeals to you guys? Have you been horror fans from age 5 or something like that, or is it something you've grown into? Did you read horror comics? I mean, I'm just kind of curious as to what draws people to horror films.
I'd say mine is probably a movie in particular that a lot of people who are around my age, I feel like scared them. And that was the movie Signs when it came out.
Oh, yeah, right. Mhm.
So in 2002, I think I was like 13, maybe when I saw it. And I was a pretty big scaredy cat when I was young. But just like the sense of like building dread mixed with like the jump scares here and there, the score, and then this great sense of like catharsis and fate, and maybe there's like a higher power type of feeling like that Shyamalan was able to bring into that. And he has like scattered throughout a lot of his movies of like, it's not strictly just like gross or gore or
Right.
graphicness. It's like more of like a psychological horror that I would say like really like took my trajectory into liking like horror. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, it's always like that's such a hard question to be like, oh, why do you like scary things? I don't know. I'm fucked up. I don't know.
There
uh,
have been scientific studies that I've read where some people get pleasure from being like scared during horror movies and some people like don't.
Yeah, it's
I
a
will
safe way
throw
to
it
get
there.
scared, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that the movie's going to end and you're back to your regular life. Like a roller coaster, right? You get scared on a roller
Yeah.
coaster, but you know it's safe. I'm just kind of curious what draws people to horror films, and so
well, I think like uh, I think there's something. Yes, I think there's like the thrill element. That's like okay, this gives me like a boost of you know adrenaline, which can be fun for sure. But I think horror done well is an incredible genre that is able to take very serious and dramatic things that uh,
yeah,
people can connect people can connect to, but put it in a more palpable way of like everyone everyone is so scared of being scared. Like nobody loves that feeling. Like I know people like that feeling, but like nobody likes change. Nobody likes to feel scared or have anxiety. But like to be able to do it in a way that allows you to look at something about yourself that you are scared of, whether that's like uh like Spencer's talking about with like signs with the story of like someone's grappling with their understanding of what the universe is and what faith is a very scary thing. And then you like something like the Babadook, where you have someone very much struggling with how scary like grief is and the loss of something. Um, I think I think a horror movie done well allows you to experience a very traumatic thing, like you're saying, in a safe and palpable way that can actually make you understand something. Is this making any sense, or am I just
No,
sure.
saying
that's
Very
great.
crazy things?
philosophical. Yeah,
No, I think
No.
that's
Um,
great. No, what you're saying is great because, like, no one talks about. I listened to a podcast just recently talking about the Babadook and how it's talking about topics that you don't normally talk about, like, child dealing with grief. That's not a
yeah,
topic we are comfortable with, like mental illness. But yet you make
yeah,
a monster about it and represent grief. We can have that conversation safely now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like all genres of of film, that's kind of like that's what's so great about it is like a good comedy is able to help you kind of like see into yourself a little bit and laugh about it, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and I think there's horror that's just like, gore and slash, and it's just kind of a gore fest that can be just like a thrilling, fun thing. But I think the great horrors that stick with you kind of have that like existential resonation with you of like something that you're scared of within yourself that you can just look at a little bit and hopefully change a little bit or realize or accept something about yourself. I don't know.
Sure.
I think that's the very philosophical, pretentious way of looking at it.
Would you say, Ben, though, like a movie like I know it wasn't your favorite, but take like a movie like Smile, where our love of horror isn't like strictly bleak. We like and
Yeah,
like everything's bleak and depressing and they're gonna have like a bad outcome at the end and everybody gets punished. Um, a movie like
that's
Smile, do you think, and I'm also asking Hamp and Paul, does a movie like that accomplish anything still besides just feeling scared? Like where the outcome is very, it's like unrelentingly bleak, I feel like.
Right.
Um,
Right.
does it still accomplish anything? Does it teach you anything
Well,
in your
what I
minds?
yeah, what I found about films is that they can stimulate you intellectually and emotionally. And a movie like Smile is 100% emotional. You know, it's just going for that. But your short, because you're never sure what the next twist is going to be, is what I found so interesting about it. You know, I thought it was going to be mannequins attacking at one point. I thought it was going to be, I was never quite sure. And that's what I find really interesting, or what I really enjoy about a film, is that it has me thinking about trying to find the path. And it's fun when it goes on a different path, yet it still at the same time makes 100% sense. You know, it's like, oh, yeah. That's why it went that way there when I think back on it. And that's, again, I think your film does that very well, and I really enjoyed it because of that.
Hmm.
I
Oh,
guess
yeah,
thank you. That's
just
super
in, just in Smile, I think Smile is great. I really like Smile. And the reason is because the bleakness of it, I think, is what worked for Smile. It's a very, I think it's a great metaphor for mental illness and how at the end, sometimes you just feel like you go right back down that rabbit hole again. But I'll say this, I agree with you when you do it again in the sequel, it's like it feels like it's just to be bleak for the sake of being bleak. You
yeah,
mentioned signs, and I immediately connect it to the end of your film. I know, just to bring it back to that, at the very end, it seemed like she wasn't the target of the movie. It seems like it was death setting a series of events to take this person's life. So you talk about signs and faith because it sounds like faith may have a part of your work. Was that the case in pictures, or am I reaching?
No, no, you're good. I don't think, I mean, we never sat down and created like an outline of like, this is what the monster is, or like, this is what this entity is type of thing. As far as like faith goes, neither Ben nor I are like practicing any type of like religion or anything like that. We were raised in like a religious household. So I would say that like faith, no matter what, is probably something that will come out when we talk about things. And I still appreciate something like Signs because it gives you like a hope for better things, or like a hope and maybe some sort of like divine guidance type of thing. And like catharsis is experienced from seeing this man's journey from like pain back to uh let's see, happiness with his family. Did that answer
yeah.
your question, or did I totally just
Yeah,
like
yeah, because
sidestep
like
it?
I mean, because sometimes some things just bleed out, and I think it may have bled out in the end because there's a sense of like, yeah, this bad thing happened, but it was meant to happen. Is kind
Yeah.
of what I took from pictures, you know? It's like, yeah, the futures might be written because this thing is setting that in path, in setting it on motion. So it all works thematically. 'Cause. 'Thematically. 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 'Cause. 'Thematically.
Oh, you go for it. Yeah.
The analogy I thought of was the movie Final Destination, where these sort of things happened. I don't know if that came up, but like Paul was saying, yours sort of wraps things up better. It seems less arbitrary, if that makes sense. So that I thought it was a stronger story because of that. It
Hmm.
wasn't just random stuff happening. That's you can't fight that. So it's like,
Well, I
Which is a
think
very
this.
Coen Brothers. Oh, I'm sorry, Ben. I
Mhm.
was
You
just
go
going to
for it.
jump in and say, which is a very Coen Brothers approach to their view on the world, which I really like the Coen Brothers as far as like there
Sure.
is chaos. Things
Hmm.
don't have like a deeper meaning. Things just kind of happen sometimes.
Right, right. You're back to No Country for Old Men. It's just like, is it Cormac McCarthy that they take, they make those,
Yeah,
yeah, his books are, they have that
yeah.
theme quite a bit in them. Hmm.
Or like a silent man, or was it a quiet man? Their film right after No Country.
Quiet Man was a
Um,
John Wayne's film back in,
oh, okay.
which is
A most serious man,
a most
I
serious
think
man.
is
There
what
you
it's
go.
Yeah,
called.
that's
Right,
Yeah,
right, right, right. Uh-huh.
where it's just kind of like this illness comes in, he just gets sick, this tornado happens.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like stuff happens, like
Right, right, right. It
which
can
I
be
also
tough to,
appreciate that approach. Yeah.
right. Hmm.
Well,
Sorry, Ben, but I totally interrupted your thought.
no, you're good. I was just gonna say, I think this is what's so fun, talking to people about stuff because I think Paul, you're probably right that that stuff kind of just subconsciously comes through in our work, and it's really fun talking to people and like just hearing you talk about it. I'm like, oh yeah, those things do kind of come through, and I think when you're like so close to something, oftentimes you don't actually see what
Yeah.
things are actually in there because you're like I don't know. I was just following my brain and random thoughts and things like that. And then
Mhm.
yeah, it's nice to hear you talk about those things because I think it probably does. Like Spencer said, we grew up in a very religious household, and so whether you continue with that or not, that's a part of you, and like that's going to come out in different ways and even religion aside, like spiritual, it's such a big question of like okay, am I in charge of my decisions? Is there something bigger that kind of determines things for us? So they are fun themes that we do like, I think play with and as you point them out, I'm like, other things that I've written, I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of in those other things too. So maybe that's kind of like a common thread that comes through
You can't
for
fight
sure.
your nature, right? Your nature's
Yeah.
always going to come out in your work.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's why it's so scary and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right, right. You really do expose yourself. Exactly. Hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Turn those comments off.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know, on my Vintage J channel, I just invite it, and if it's really negative, I just send a heart. That's it.
Yeah. All
That
has thicker
really pisses
skin.
them
Yeah.
off.
But you can't please everyone. That's the thing. And so,
No, totally.
Why
yeah.
try? Why try? Please yourself,
Exactly.
and then as long as a few people are saying you're doing it right, that's good enough. I mean,
Yeah.
that's me.
Yeah,
No,
Ben said something. Oh, sorry, Ben.
oh, you get. I just get. That's always like the continuing goal of just trying everything you make, just trying to be like, okay, the only person I care about is if I like it or not. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
and yeah, and when you make a film, once you've done it, it's out of your hands. Other people interpret it how they want to. There's nothing you can really do. And so,
yeah.
um,
You can hear that just between the four of us
right,
interpreting this one movie. It's
right,
like you two made it, and y'all have two different opinions, and we watched it, and we have two different opinions.
Art.
Yeah, it's good.
exactly.
Look, I mean, I guess, like I said, we appreciate your time. Hamp, you have anything else? I don't want to like take
No,
the whole
I've
day
really
up.
enjoyed yeah, having this conversation with you
I
guys. It's been
really
very
did too.
interesting and enlightening. Hmm.
Guys,
Yeah,
No,
thank
I
you
really
guys for reaching out, and I
Yeah,
really enjoyed it and found it very stimulating and engaging as well. So thank you for reaching out and
no,
wanting to
yeah.
absolutely.
chat with us.
This has been great. Like, you guys, look, will y'all do a feature? If drop me an email, I will definitely check your feature out. Or any shorts you do. I'm happy to,
yeah.
push it on my channel or with anything else I'm doing. So, Guys, I mean, really, great work. Appreciate it.
No, it's yeah, thank you so much for reaching out. And if anything, like it's been a really like you make these things and you put it out, so it's always just really nice to hear that it actually resonates and affects people. So if anything, it honors us. Thank you so much for reaching out and appreciating things that we've made.
Of course,
It's
we
very
enjoyed it.
kind of you.
I probably won't do much editing on this, but when I post it, I'll share it with you on the Scariest channel so you can see it if you want. But you're probably
Yeah,
like me. I don't
That'd
want
be
to watch
rad.
my interviews either.
No, yeah, yeah. I'll watch in a few seconds and I'll be like, no, no,
Already exists.
no.
Well,
No, yeah. I would love to see it when it's up.
yeah. Well, thanks, guys. We definitely appreciate your time and
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
let us know.
Thank
yeah.
you. Yeah, keep
Thanks,
us posted
guys.
on how the book's going too. Thank
You
you.
bet.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was the interview. Like, comment, and share below. And we're hoping to get more interviews very soon from other directors. And of course, stay tuned. We're also going to be looking for and analyzing more movies ahead. Thanks. Until next time, this is 100 Scariest.